All right, let's unpack this. If you're in the pharmaceutical world, you're probably hearing the buzz. AI is everywhere. It's in the news. Vendor pitches are full of it. And naturally, it's promising big things for your CRM systems. But pharma isn't like any other industry, right? We're talking about a space with intense regulation, like pharma CRM. So when someone says AI powered, what does that really mean for you and your teams today?
That is the core question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's driving this deep dive. We've looked at a really insightful article that zeroes in on AI use cases specifically within pharma CRM. It gives us a detailed look at the two major players in that space, Salesforce and Veeva. Our goal here is really to give you the shortcut,
Yeah.
cut through the marketing hype and get right to the practical reality. We want to understand what AI capabilities are genuinely available and impactful today within these platforms,
That's right.
and just as critically, what the limitations are, the hurdles.
Exactly. And this is for you, whether you're wrestling with data and analytics and insights, or maybe optimizing field force effectiveness in commercial ops, managing scientific exchange in medical affairs, or even charting the technology path in IT. You're trying to figure out where AI is actually making a difference right now in your CRM stack. We're pulling out the essential nuggets here, hopefully helping you navigate those conversations and see what's relevant day to day.
Yeah, and the article sets the scene perfectly, I think. It acknowledges that massive wave of AI-powered claims everywhere. You feel like you can't escape it.
Tell me about it. I fully expect my toaster to start optimizing my bread browning based on my mood by next year.
Exactly. The hype is pervasive.
Yeah.
But, as the source points out, in a field like pharma CRM, so highly regulated, well, there's a very real and significant gap. A gap between the theoretical possibilities of AI and what's actually implemented and usable in the real world. And the real world in this context, for most life sciences companies, means working with either Salesforce or Veeva. They're the dominant CRM platforms. Both are talking AI, but how they deliver it, that's where the nuances are. And that's what the article gets into.
Okay, so let's get beyond the buzzwords. Let's talk future promises later. According to this article, what are the concrete, high-impact ways pharma teams are actually using AI today with these platforms? What's real and happening now?
Right. The source highlights several key areas where AI is moving from concept to reality. On the commercial side, a big one is making reps more effective before they even walk into a meeting. That's pre-call planning and rep guidance.
Okay. Anything that helps the field rep optimize that crucial face time with an HCP, that seems like low-hanging fruit for intelligence, right?
It really is. And the article shows how tools like Salesforce's Einstein GPT and Agentforce, you can think of Agentforce as AI designed specifically to take actions and automate tasks within workflows, how they're being used. This isn't just fancy reporting. The AI can generate instant summaries of a specific HCP's past interactions, pull up recent scientific content they've engaged with digitally, and even suggest next best actions, things the rep should maybe consider doing or discussing based on the latest data.
So it's like giving the rep a concise, intelligent brief tailored for that specific HCP right before the call. And it might even suggest what to do next.
Precisely. And it's not just summarizing the past. The AI can also help prioritize which HCPs a rep should even call, based on things like recent formulary changes in their area, shifts in local prescription trends, new data releases. It's about making the rep's time more targeted.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense for maximizing rep efficiency. How does Veeva approach this pre-call space with AI? Does the article mention that?
Yeah, it does. Veeva offers similar capabilities, often surfacing insights within their My Insights dashboards. However, the article suggests that achieving the same level of, let's say, deep personalization and integrated next best action guidance, the kind that feels truly native to the workflow, well, that typically requires more custom configuration or integrating external analytical layers with Veeva. It's a bit different compared to Salesforce's built-in tools.
Got it. So the outcome might be achievable, but the path to get there could be more complex with Veeva. Okay. What's another area where AI is showing up commercially?
Segmentation and targeting. This is pretty fundamental for marketing and sales teams knowing who to focus on. And this is where the article highlights a really interesting difference in approach between the two platforms.
Okay, lay it on me.
Right, so Veeva has a powerful offering called Veeva Link. Think of Veeva Link as this massive pre-curated intelligence database. It's specifically about key opinion leaders, KOLs, and HCPs.
Right, I've heard of Link. It pulls data from everywhere, doesn't it? Public sources mostly?
Exactly. It aggregates information from hundreds of thousands of public sources, publications, clinical trials, conference attendance, grants, social media activity, you name it. It builds these incredibly rich, ready-to-use profiles on these individuals. This data is then accessible and integrated into Veeva's CRM via APIs. So it's fantastic for quickly identifying influential people and understanding their public scientific footprint globally. It gives you easy access to intelligence about these experts.
Okay, so Viva Link is about providing that rich external data to you, ready to go. How does Salesforce's approach differ here?
Salesforce, as the article explains, isn't primarily focused on providing that prepackaged HCP data itself. Its strength lies more in enabling enterprise-wide data actionability, and it does that through its Salesforce Data Cloud.
Data Cloud. Yeah, that seems to be the foundation for a lot of Salesforce's capabilities these days. What does it do in this context?
Well, its power is really in its ability to ingest and unify disparate data sets from any source within your organization. This isn't just CRM data. This is bringing together your HCP data, sure, but also maybe payer information, patient access program data, third-party prescribing trends, digital engagement signals. And it doesn't matter if that data is structured in databases or unstructured in notes or documents. Data Cloud pulls it all together. The goal is to build a comprehensive 360-degree view of each stakeholder across all these different sources.
So it's less about providing the external data itself and more about unifying your organization's specific data universe, building that complete picture.
Precisely. And the source points out some key technical aspects that enable this. It can handle data updates in near real time. It uses something called zero-copy architecture, which basically means it connects to data where it lives without needing to make endless copies. That's huge for data governance and security, especially in pharma. It has those native AI agents we mentioned, Agentforce, that can directly trigger actions based on this unified data, whether that's suggesting a next best action or helping identify targets for a new initiative. And crucially, you can customize it with your own internal segmentation models or data nuances using low-code tools.
Low code. So
All
that
right.
means you don't necessarily need a deep coding background to build these custom segments and apply AI.
Right. It opens it up more.
The article really crystallizes the difference this way. VivaLink excels at providing pre-built, curated data about external experts. It's about content access. Salesforce Data Cloud is built for organizations that need the flexibility to unify all their internal and external data sources, apply AI agents across that unified view, and drive actionability. It's about content adaptability. Which one's better? Well, it really depends on your organization's existing data maturity and your specific AI goals.
That distinction makes a lot of sense. It's not just about having AI, but what data the AI can access and how easily you can apply it. How does this play into something like campaign optimization?
Data Cloud is key there, too. By unifying data from all channels, email engagement, text messages, website visits, feedback captured by reps, Salesforce can use AI to spot patterns, identify maybe where engagement is dropping off in a campaign sequence, and suggest optimal timing or channels for follow-up messages. It gives you near real-time insights to refine your omnichannel strategy. Okay, so we've covered some core commercial applications, guiding reps, better targeting, optimizing campaigns. What about the medical affairs side? How's AI impacting that part of the organization today?
Medical affairs also has some tangible AI use cases emerging, according to this source. One is medical inquiry triage.
Ooh, that seems critical and highly regulated, obviously.
It is. The article describes how Salesforce AI agents can automatically process incoming medical inquiries. They can route the inquiry to the appropriate medical team based on the topic, draft initial response suggestions by pulling relevant info from approved regulatory guidance documents, and importantly, flag any mentions that indicate a potential adverse event, ensuring those go immediately to compliance.
Wow, okay. That could significantly speed up the initial handling, the sorting, while keeping that compliance rigor. What are some other Med-Affairs examples?
Literature monitoring and content personalization is another big one. Einstein, which is Salesforce's core AI engine, can be configured to scan vast databases of new scientific publications and clinical trial results. It can identify research relevant to specific therapeutic areas you care about and proactively alert MSLs, medical science liaisons.
Right, the scientific experts engaging with HCPs.
Exactly. Alert them to new findings they should know about. The article also mentions that based on an HCP's interaction history with an MSL, the AI could suggest personalized scientific content or presentations, things that would be most relevant to that specific individual.
So MSLs aren't just wading through mountains of papers. The AI helps curate and personalize that fire hose of scientific information, tailoring it for their needs and their specific HCPs.
Exactly. And a third medical affairs use case is enhancing key opinion leader, KOL engagement, using that unified data potential we talked about. Maybe from Data Cloud, pulling in Viva Link data or other sources, AI can help assess a KOL's influence It combines their scientific contributions, publications, with their activity on relevant social or digital channels. This holistic view lets the AI potentially suggest more customized engagement plans tailored to that KOL's specific interests and communication style.
And how do Viva's specific MedAffairs tools fit into these AI use cases, according to the article?
Well, Veeva does have comprehensive medcoms tools, which are excellent for managing and disseminating approved medical content. No question there. However, the article suggests that while they integrate with data sources, they typically lack the same depth of native AI capabilities. Things like automated literature scanning, personalized content recommendations driven by AI analysis of past interactions, or that AI-driven KOL influence assessment and plan generation. Salesforce tends to offer more of that built into its platform natively.
So the article paints a picture of specific AI capabilities being used today on both platforms for both commercial and medical teams.
Okay.
But it seems the way these capabilities are delivered, that's a major differentiator. Let's dive into that architectural difference you mentioned earlier, built-in versus add-on.
Yeah, this is maybe the most significant insight from the source, especially when looking long-term. It boils down to built-in versus add-on. The article positions Salesforce as having built-in AI.
What does that actually mean for someone using the platform day to day, like practically?
It means AI isn't a separate piece you bolt on later. It's natively integrated into the core Salesforce platform. Engines like Einstein and Agentforce are designed to work seamlessly within the CRM, data, and workflow layers. The source highlights that this means the AI agents can access all the data available through Data Cloud, the unified 360-degree view we discussed.
Right, so the AI isn't siloed. It's not just looking at CRM data. It sees the whole connected picture from across the organization.
Exactly. And because it's native, it can operate in real time. It can process new data and suggest actions pretty much instantly, not just in daily or weekly batches. It can be customized using those low-code tools we talked about, which empowers business users or analysts, not just deep developers. And it integrates natively with other core Salesforce tools, like Slack for notifications or Tableau for visualizations.
And the biggest advantage of this built-in approach, especially for pharma, what does the article emphasize there?
Compliance and integration, mainly. The source emphasizes that because it's native, deploying new AI use cases requires much less integration effort compared to bringing in third-party tools. And critically for pharma, it automatically inherits the robust security, compliance, and governance framework of the broader Salesforce ecosystem. You're not setting up separate compliance for your AI layer. It's operating within your existing validated environment.
That compliance inheritance. Wow, that sounds like a huge hurdle removed in a regulated industry. Okay, now how does Viva's architecture compare? The article describes it as add-on AI. What does that mean?
That's the distinction the article draws. Veeva CRM itself doesn't have a native foundational AI engine built into its core architecture. AI functionality in Veeva is typically achieved by layering it through integrations. So integrations with external analytics platforms, data vendors like Veeva Link, or by relying on insights surfaced in pre-built reports or those My Insights dashboards.
So Viva can display AI insights, or it can integrate with systems that generate them, but the core AI processing isn't happening within the Viva CRM platform itself. Is that the idea?
Precisely. While Veeva is incredibly strong at CRM functionality and presenting information visually, the article notes that implementing more advanced custom AI capabilities, things like building your own predictive models or deploying custom AI agents across workflows, that often requires significant custom development work. It might mean setting up separate data warehouses or data science environments outside of Veeva and relying heavily on external services.
And what's the consequence of that add-on structure for pharma companies using Viva? What does the source say?
The source concludes that while you can implement AI solutions, absolutely, the process of building, deploying, and scaling those solutions across multiple use cases or different teams tends to involve more friction.
Okay.
It's often more complex, potentially more costly because of the custom work and external dependencies. And it can be harder to integrate seamlessly into existing regulated workflows compared to a natively built approach.
So the article's bottom line here is, if your strategic goal is rapid experimentation and broad scaling of diverse AI use cases across your organization, the foundational architecture suggests Salesforce is better built to enable that with less friction than Viva, which typically requires more external layering for similar advanced AI.
That's the core finding highlighted in the article, yeah. It's not that Veeva can't do AI, but the native integration of data unification like Data Cloud and the AI engines within the Salesforce platform, it provides a different starting point if widespread AI adoption is the goal.
That distinction is incredibly valuable for anyone planning their tech stack.
But okay, even with these architectural differences and platform capabilities, the article is very clear that AI adoption in pharma CRM faces significant hurdles. Let's talk about that reality check, the limitations of AI in pharma CRM.
Yeah, these limitations are real and they are significant regardless of the platform you're on. One of the biggest is the age-old problem of data fragmentation.
Ah, the classic challenge, getting all your data to actually talk to each other.
Exactly. AI models are only as good as the data they're trained on and can access. Even with sophisticated CRM systems, data often sits in disconnected silos, commercial data separate from medical, patient data separate from payer data, and so on. If the data isn't unified and high quality, the AI's insights will be incomplete, potentially biased, just unreliable. The article specifically calls out how Salesforce Data Cloud aims to address this head-on with its zero-copy approach to unification, whereas with Veeva, the burden of data consolidation for AI often falls more heavily on internal IT or data teams before any AI can really be applied effectively. So if your data foundation isn't solid, the AI is basically building on quicksand. Makes sense. What's the big non-negotiable hurdle unique to pharma?
The absolutely critical one, the non-negotiable limitation, is regulatory barriers, specifically the need for MLR medical, legal, and regulatory review. Even if AI can auto-generate a suggested email to an HCP or propose specific messaging points for a rep, that output must still go through the rigorous MLR review process before it can be used externally.
Right, you can't just let an AI loose communicating externally with HCPs without a human and regulatory sign-off. That's fundamental.
Precisely. It's fundamental for patient safety and compliance. So while AI can potentially speed up the drafting or the identification of information, that final check and approval step by MLR teams, it creates an inherent speed limit. It limits how quickly AI-generated content or guidance can actually be deployed externally.
That makes perfect sense. Safety has to come first.
Yeah.
What about getting people, the users, to actually use the AI?
That brings us to explainability and trust. This is huge. For a rep in the field or an MSL interacting with a KOL, if an AI tool gives them a recommendation, talk about X or focus on Y with this person, they need to understand why. Why did the AI suggest that? If the AI feels like a black box, just giving opaque suggestions, users won't trust it. And if they don't trust it, they simply won't use it, no matter how accurate the underlying algorithm might be. The article notes that platform design matters here too. Salesforce's native tools often provide things like reasoning chains or prompt transparency to show the user the basis for the AI suggestion. That's often harder to build into layered third-party AI solutions.
Trust is absolutely critical for adoption. If the user can't verify or understand the recommendation, they'll just revert to their old ways.
Right.
Okay, and finally, the article points to something beyond just the tech itself, right? The organization.
Yes, the crucial factor of organizational readiness. Having the technology available is one thing. Being ready as an organization to implement and use it effectively is another entirely. Pharma companies need to build internal AI literacy. They need to educate teams on what AI is capable of and, importantly, what its limitations are in a regulated context. They need the right operational models, clear governance structures for AI usage and data, and robust change management plans to help teams adopt these new AI-powered workflows. The technology needs to be supported by the right people, processes, and, frankly, culture.
That's such a vital point. You can buy the most sophisticated AI tools, but if your people don't understand them or trust them or have the processes to support them, they won't deliver value. So pulling this all together, the capabilities, the architectural differences, the limitations, what does the article suggest pharma companies should be focusing on right now, looking ahead maybe, say, 12 to 18 months?
The guidance seems very practical. It starts by advising companies to identify those specific high-friction areas within their existing commercial or medical workflows. Where teams getting bogged down, where there are manual steps that are just slower and inefficient.
Find the pain points first. Find where AI could actually make a tangible difference.
Exactly. Then, assess those friction points against the realities we've just discussed. Is the necessary data available and unified? What are the specific regulatory guardrails around this particular process?
Yeah.
And how ready are the users in that workflow to actually adopt new AI-powered tools?
So don't just implement AI because it's the shiny new thing. Implement it where it solves a real problem and where the environment, the data, the rules, the people allows it to succeed.
Precisely. And the article offers some platform-specific advice too. If you're a Salesforce customer, the suggestion is basically to leverage the native tools that are already there. Einstein GPT, Agentforce, Data Cloud. Start small with targeted pilots in those identified high-friction areas. Maybe it's an AI agent helping a specific group of reps summarize call notes faster, or a bot that helps medical affairs triage a certain type of inquiry.
Test the waters. Show concrete value on a small scale first.
Okay, what about if you're primarily a Veeva customer? What's the advice there?
If you're in the Viva ecosystem, the article suggests considering a hybrid approach. It notes that many organizations are exploring or implementing strategies where they integrate Salesforce Data Cloud and its native AI capabilities alongside their Viva CRM.
Oh, that's interesting. So using Veeva for its core CRM strengths, but bringing in Salesforce specifically for the data unification and the AI layer. Yes, the idea is essentially to get the best of both worlds, potentially.
Yeah.
You leverage Data Cloud's ability to unify data from across the enterprise, which could potentially include data from Veeva via integration, and then use the native Salesforce AI tools for specific analytics or automation pilots. Pilots that might be harder or more complex to build directly within the Veeva architecture alone. It allows for potentially faster experimentation with advanced AI use cases without necessarily disrupting the core Veeva CRM processes.
That hybrid model seems like a practical way to move forward, especially if you're already heavily invested in Viva but want to explore the potential of more deeply integrated AI.
And the overarching advice, really, regardless of which platform or approach you take, focus intensely on measurable outcomes. The value of AI in pharma CRM isn't just having smart technology, it's in delivering tangible results, reducing the time reps spend on admin, speeding up medical response times, improving the relevance of HCP engagements, things that ultimately translate to business impact. That's how AI proves its worth.
So the key takeaway here isn't that AI is some magic wand that's going to automate everything away. Not at all. It's really a tool to make your highly skilled teams more efficient and effective today. By automating certain tasks, providing intelligent guidance, helping scale proven strategies, even within the very strict boundaries of the pharmaceutical world.
Absolutely. The source reinforces that AI isn't about replacing human expertise in pharma. It's about augmenting it. It's about helping teams achieve more by handling maybe the data analysis, the repetitive tasks, the initial drafts, freeing up the human experts, the reps, the MSLs, the compliance officers, to focus on the high-value interactions and the critical decision-making where human judgment is absolutely indispensable.
And based on this article, while both Salesforce and Veeva are clearly important platforms in this space, if an organization's priority is to rapidly experiment with and scale multiple diverse AI use cases broadly across commercial and medical teams, well, the native built-in architecture of Salesforce, particularly with Data Cloud, appears to offer a path with potentially less integration friction than the more add-on approach typically required within the Veeva ecosystem for that kind of scaling.
That seems to be the key differentiator the source highlights, yes. It's that fundamental difference in how the AI and data layers are integrated that really impacts the speed and ease of scaling AI initiatives across the board.
This space is clearly evolving incredibly quickly. But those regulatory constraints and the absolute need for human trust and oversight in pharma, those aren't going anywhere. So considering that non-negotiable human element, how will the continuous push for AI automation continue to reshape that fundamental collaboration? The partnership between human expertise and machine intelligence and driving future healthcare advancements? It's not just about the tech, is it? It's about defining that partnership.
It really is the defining question for AI in pharma, I think. The technology will keep advancing, offering more powerful capabilities, no doubt. But the regulatory, the ethical, the trust requirements, they mean that the human role in guiding, validating, and ultimately being accountable for AI-driven decisions remains paramount. It's a dynamic collaboration, not a simple handoff. And figure out that balance. Well, that's the journey pharma's on right now.